Did you bring snacks, Angie?
I did. Oh, I need to know your favorite candy bar. So we're going to have to talk after this. You'll have to text me. All right, so it is now 4 o'clock on the dot. So we'll go ahead and get our site-based meeting. It is a special called meeting for Glasscock Elementary School. We'll get it started. Due to the COVID-19, we are doing a Zoom meeting and broadcasting it on a YouTube channel. I'm Angie Akers. I'm the principal and chairperson here at Glasscock. So if everyone will start by introducing themselves, please.
I'm Patty Davis, teacher rep.
Jessica Veach, I'm also a teacher rep.
Patrick Gribbins, I'm also a teacher rep.
Angela Garrett, and I am a parent rep.
Tiffany Brock, I'm a parent rep.
All right, thank you guys. So we have all of our members are present with us today through Zoom. If you will take a moment to review the minutes, and then we are going to approve those. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to read over the minutes from March 11th, 2020.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
So all those approved say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, so we have approved by consensus. Just a reminder that this is a special called meeting. So you'll notice on the agenda that we did not approve the agenda. On a special called meeting, the agenda is not approved because you can't make changes to it. So we're going to move on to B, and that's the good news report. First and foremost, I want to just give a shout out to our amazing staff, our families, and our students, because they are really rocking this NTI stuff. I have seen amazing meetings with classes. I've gotten to participate in those. And I've also gotten to see the work as a parent, and our teachers are just rocking it. I mean, they are knocking this out of the park. They are putting tons and tons of resources in the hands of our students. So just a big shout out as far as NTI for our parents, staff, and students. For those who do not have internet access at home, we have mailed out packets. I do have a couple more that I'm going to mail out in the morning, but so far pretty much everything has been mailed out. We'll move on to our public comment. So I don't think we have any visitors to address the council. So we'll move to our budget reports. You should have a copy of the Munis report. If you will pull that out now, we're going to review that. And for our SBDM, we have $21,809.44. ESS, we have a balance of $3,311.66. For professional development, we have a balance of $796.68. Our district activity fund has a balance of $33,562.31. Transportation has a balance of $1,579.97. and custodial balance of $1,309.29.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those approve say aye.
Aye.
Those who oppose say nay. So the council approved by consensus. Next, if you will get out the school activity fund report. For our school activity fund, we have a balance of $22,145.34. If you'll please look over it and let me know if you have any questions.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All those approve say aye.
Aye.
For those who oppose say nay. Council approved by consensus. Next on our agenda is our policy review. We are looking at 4 policies today. 2 are a second reading. We had our first reading of the dress code policy and the discipline and classroom management policy at our last regular meeting. So it is a second reading. And then we have 2 policies that will be new today. We'll look at each one individually. Our first one is a dress code policy. As I told you at our last meeting, the dress code policy was something that the elementary principals worked together because we felt like it was important for all of our elementary schools to have the same dress code policy. Really, they were really close anyway, but we felt like it was important because let's suppose if we have a student that goes to Glasscock and we have a part of our policy that says that they can't wear flip-flops. And let's suppose they go to another school in the district and they can wear flip-flops there, then it can be very confusing. So we felt like it was important that all the elementaries dress code policy looked the same. But if you guys feel like maybe we need to make a variation, that's totally fine. But this is the second reading. So if we approve it today, it will be set as our policy. So if you'll take a minute to review the dress code policy.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those approve say aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose say nay. All right, so the dress code policy, that is the second reading, so it will be set, and that is approved by consensus. If you will please look at the discipline and classroom management policy in your packet, that will be the next one. Again, this is a second reading. We'll give you some time to look over that. This meeting was also, or this policy also had Mr. Reed, who is our assistant principal. He reviewed it, made sure it matched up with our matrix for our classroom management and discipline here at Glasscock. So if you'll review that, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask.
I see that a false fire alarm is on level 3 and level 4.
Okay. So as a group, what do we think that would be the best? Should it be a level 3? Should it be a level 4? We could do one such as if you'll notice, fighting under level 3 and 4, there's a first offense, and then if with the level 4, it's a second offense and over. We could do it that way, where it would be a first offense or a second offense. We could put it on one or the other. Thoughts?
I look at level 4, it makes me think it's tied to the terroristic threatening because it's, it's like a list underneath of that one. So is that a different? I don't know.
I was gonna say, maybe leave it at 3. It
Okay.
seems more in that category.
Sure.
More than it does category 4.
Definitely. I think that will definitely work. Any other changes?
Make a motion.
All right.
I'll second.
All right. All those approved say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. So that will be set into place by consensus. Something to just talk about, you know, we were talking about the false fire alarm. Something, if you'll notice too, in the in level 3 and 4, if you'll notice with the asterisk, it says option to use any previous level consequences. So let's suppose someone does pull a fire alarm. Of course, that would be documented in IC. So anytime the principals, myself or Mr. Reed, anytime we are giving out punishment, we really do go into IC. We review the previous behaviors to see if we've noticed something that's been ongoing. And we would notice if maybe they have pulled the fire alarm before. And so we may give them a different type of punishment. You know, like on here, one of the consequences would be a temporary removal from class. And then another one might be like an after school suspension. So we could always kind of change that up a little bit as far as what the consequence would be for pulling the fire alarm. So the change was to put the fire alarm into only a level 3. So we will make those changes and get that out to everyone, to our staff. The next thing we have, the next policy is our hospitality policy. This is a first reading, so basically we'll look over this and ask questions. This is a rather old policy. If you'll notice, it was adopted in 2010 and amended in 2011. So for those who weren't here then, the hospitality policy was something that the staff would give money every year, and then if there was a death of a family member, maybe if it was a parent of a student or a parent of a staff member, maybe a staff member's grandparent passed away, then someone here would go and maybe go to the florist and buy a flower arrangement of $30 or $40. If there was a retirement or a baby shower, it was to be done by the team members of the employee. We probably haven't been following that policy as to fidelity as what we should be. And what we've been doing in the past couple of years, or at least, this year and last year, is if staff voluntarily got together and did something for, a teammate or someone in the building rather than following this policy. So this is not a required policy. So if we want to make changes, we can. If we want to get rid of this policy, we can do that too. Do keep in mind that this is a first reading, so we're not going to really do anything with it today other than ask questions or make suggestions on it to be ready for the second reading at our next meeting. So if you guys will review that, read over it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. If you have any changes or suggestions for this policy, please speak up.
Mhm.
So do you have any questions regarding the hospitality policy? So if you'll just review that, think about it, and then at our next meeting, we can make further decisions for that policy as it would be a second reading. Our next policy is the placement and exit criteria policy. This is a first reading again. So this is an older policy. Let me just kind of tell you a little bit about it, and then we can kind of go from there and you can ask questions. So what this policy basically says is that we will have a set of exit criteria for each grade level. And if a student is missing so many parts of mastery on this exit criteria, then a committee would come together to decide whether or not that student needs to move on to the next grade level or whether or not that student needs to be retained. That's really not how we are doing things. You know, if a parent feels strongly that their child needs to move on, then we're definitely going to move them on to the next grade level, because we know that our very, very, very last resort would be to retain a child in extreme circumstances. So I feel like if we're not going to follow this to fidelity, we definitely don't need it as a policy at our school. So what I would suggest is let's get rid of this policy. If it's not going to be followed to fidelity, get rid of the policy. And I do like having, not necessarily call it an exit criteria, but maybe a grade level expectation that would say, you know, by the end of first grade, your child should have mastered this, 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 this. By the end of second grade, your child should have mastered this, 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 this. And maybe attach that to the curriculum policy, and we can look at that in the future. And it's something that together, even with our exit criteria, you know, it says that they will do a reading end of year skills test. Well, we're not doing that. And so we would need to change this anyway. So maybe next year, our staff for the 2021 school year, our staff can work together in grade level teams and create a level of expectations or content of expectations for mastery for each grade level. But that would be, you know, that's kind of what I've been thinking about. Of course, you know, if you have any questions, you know, let me give you time to read it. Please ask if you have any questions or suggestions. Again, this is only a first reading. As you are finishing up reading the placement and exit criteria policy, do you have any questions, suggestions? Okay, so we'll move on. On the agenda, the next thing is to approve the 2020-21 staffing allocations. So you will notice that you have a packet. This includes all of the information regarding allocations. You also have a paper that has our current student numbers separated by grade level. So if it says kindergarten, be thinking of that's going to be our first grade numbers for next year. If it says first grade, it would be our second grade numbers for next year. You'll notice as of this year, the 1920 school year, we have 83 kindergartners, 76 first graders, 69 second graders, 72 third graders, and 71 fourth graders. Of course, we'll not look at our current fifth grade because they're going to be leaving and going to Marion County Middle next year. So we need to determine how can we, how many classrooms for each grade level do we want next year? As far as our site-based allocations, we have staffing for 19.2. Just by looking at those numbers, we see that we have a really big first grade class next year. We would have 83 students in first grade next year. So if we broke that down into 4 classrooms, that would give us about 21 students per classroom. That's a good number for first grade. So it could be having a 3 kindergarten classrooms. We could have 4 first grade classrooms. We could have 3 second grade classrooms, 3 third grade classrooms, 3 fourth grade classrooms, and 3 fifth grade classrooms. That is a configuration. So what we approved today, just kind of keep in mind that this is something that we will review quite a bit until school starts. And because as we have students who move to other schools, other county students who just move, they may not be at Glasscock. And so our numbers will change and fluctuate through the summer. I will keep a really close eye on this. So what we determined today, may look different than what it would look like in July. Of course, we don't want that to happen. We don't want to make changes in July, but sometimes they're necessary. So if we have, let's suppose we had a bunch of students come in that would be in second grade next year, we may have to look at some type of split. But right now, this is what we have. And so this is what we have to go with. But of course, we'll review it all summer long. In the past, we've had special called meetings right before school started and said, oh no, we're going to have a split just because our numbers, we did that last year, right before school started, we had to change and have a K1 split instead of a straight grade. Our allocations are 19.2. So if we had it like that, where we had 3 per grade level and 4 classrooms in first grade, that would give us 19. That would give us some 0.15 for an instructional assistant and 0.05 for an open intervention position. If you'll notice also, we would have 1 principal, 1 media specialist, and 1 guidance counselor. And I'm just kind of flipping through these pages. If you want me to stop, just tell me to stop. We will have 1 arts and humanities teacher, 1 PE, 1 assistant principal. For the supplemental personnel, we have 3.5. So if it was 3.5, 1 arts and humanities, 1 PE, 1 assistant principal. With the 0.5, we could use 0.3 for the assistant principal extended days and supplemental, and then 0.2 for the open interventionist. So just kind of keep in mind, a 0.2 is basically 1 day a week. As far as our classified personnel, we have 3.5 kindergarten aides. We have 2 secretary, attendance, instructional assistant. Those are all 7 hours per day and 183 days per year. We have 1 bookkeeper that's 8 hours per day and at 207 days. We have 2 8-hour per day custodians. 1 has 260 days, 1 has 240 days. We also have 2 4-hour per day custodians, 180 days per year. As far as title, we have 2 interventionists. We will have 1 science teacher, 0.33 of an instructional assistant. We have to keep in mind that with our Read to Achieve grant, it's only so much. Usually there is an overage, and we can pick that up in title. And we have 0.01 family engagement coordinator. So we're open to this. So if you guys have suggestions, please don't hesitate to speak up. Do keep in mind that our site base doesn't make, they do not approve people in those positions. They just approve the positions. So if you'll notice, we didn't talk about any names. That's because that's not something that the site base does. It just approves the positions.
Make a motion. Second.
All those approved, say aye.
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 All those that are opposed, say nay. Right, so our staffing allocations are approved by consensus. Do keep in mind that is something that will be very central to us within the next couple months as we just pay attention to how many people are registering per grade level. So we'll probably talk about that at every site-based meeting that we have from here until August. The next thing, and this is also in your packet that is stapled, is the last page of our allocations, and that's the budget allocations. So what I did on this, and very open to change it, so if there's any changes, please don't hesitate to speak up. But what I did is I pulled our Munis report and how much money did we spend in each object? On each object, such as, let me see, like what's a good one? Technology related hardware, that's a good example. I looked to see what did we spend on the 1920, just to give us a basis to start with. Our instructional fund budget, if we need to make changes, let's say in September, we can bring that back to our site base and make those changes. For the 2021 school year, our allocation is $46,141.70. So I'll give you some time to review that and let me know if there are any changes or suggestions.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All those who approve say aye.
Aye.
All those that oppose say nay. So the budget allocations are approved by consensus. Number 6, discuss SBDM elections. I shared via email a suggestion as far as elections. Yes, I've had some questions about site-based elections, and we really want to be able to, if at all possible, to do those in person. So what I suggest and what has been suggested to us is that we wait just to kind of see what happens. Will we have that opportunity to do it where it can be in person? So if you guys don't mind, let's wait on that to see what the next steps are. It's still a little bit early, so we have time on that. So if you're okay with that, we'll wait just to see if maybe we can eventually do it in person. All right, so that is all that we have on our agenda. And the last thing is the adjournment. So if anyone wants to make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
I make the motion to adjourn the meeting.
All right, and it is 4:42 p.m. in a second.
Second.
All right, so that adjourns our meeting. I appreciate your time and I hope everyone has a nice evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks,
Thanks.
guys.
Bye.
See you all.
Bye.
Bye.